Hello, thank you. Thank you. Oh, gosh. Thanks so much. I've been here for a week now, and the other night I was here and I was signing books, and I met someone, and we got to talking, and he said he was a writer, and I don't know, there was just some lovely guy, and there was just something, and I just wanted to know more about him, and so I said, why don't you come and open for me on Saturday? And he said, okay. So he's a journalist, but he does other writing as well, and his name is Daniel Jones. And I met him, I first noticed him during Q&A. There's a Q&A at the end of these, and everything in my life tells me you never call on the person in the balcony that's like that. Never. At the end of Q&A, you never call on that person. But then people said, there's one question in the audience, and he had his arms in the air, and I thought, oh, this is going to be bad. And then I was just curious how bad it was going to be. So I called on him, and it was the best question that I've gotten in months. How has my life changed since I got my braces? It was such a good question. It was a really good question, because in America anyway, you're judged so harshly on your teeth, and if you have shitty teeth, I mean, having one gap, Daniel has one gap, that's fine. But 8 of them, then you just feel it. You know, like if you have a little problem with your bill or something, people think if you had real money, you'd fix those teeth of yours. So, and you just feel it. You're constantly being judged. That's why I love Japan. People talk about British teeth. Mm-mm. Japanese teeth are amazing. Amazing. That's why I loved going there. I just felt free. I felt so free there. Anyway, I'm digressing. My point was to come out here and present you with Daniel Jones.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. They say you should never meet your heroes because the experience might prove disappointing or discouraging or possibly lead to a very unfortunate and highly publicized personal vendetta. But this last Thursday night, I met my hero, someone whose life and success I've long wished to emulate. So what happened when I met this person? Only the complete opposite. I found them charming, impatient, present, and down to earth, just like I hoped they would be, just like I needed them to be. And it's because of this person's graciousness that I'm here tonight opening for my hero, the world-renowned best-selling author, Mr. David Sedaris. This is insane. I've been saying this for 2 days straight. So I thought I would read briefly from my book, which is titled Happy Driver, Happy Life. And the chapter I'm reading from is titled Rather Than Criticize, Learn, which I have edited and updated for this occasion. Naturally. Let me start over, excuse me. I have finally come to the realization that being a judgmental jerk isn't an actual essential driving requirement. I know, it blew my mind too. Like, you can actually think kind thoughts and say nice things about another driver, even if you're 100% sure they're curled up in the back seat while their golden retriever parallel parks. No, we don't have to get upset and condemn the behavior of these nincompoops. The drivers, I mean, not their surprisingly competent dogs. Because up until very recently, I thought the two went hand in hand. That getting in a fussy, negative mood and being highly critical of absolutely every other driver on the highway actually helped you perform to the very best of your driving abilities. I thought it was just like a professional athlete getting in the game before the zone, or getting in the zone before the game. After all, it's mostly what I've observed in other more experienced drivers. Take my late father, for example. For him, condemning the blatantly transgressive behaviors of other drivers was simply a standard operating procedure once he put the car in drive. To him, it was as sensible as adjusting the rearview mirror before leaving the driveway, as necessary as checking the car's fuel gauge before a long trip. Dad made criticizing seem more satisfying than watching a cop pulling over the jerk who just tried to run you off the road. Now I know that criticizing mostly just kills your joy and turns you into a big old sourpuss. Plus, that other driver, the one you're finding fault with, will just keep doing what they've always done, regardless of how you feel about it. So what's a better alternative than attacking the very core of another human being? Thank you. Try pretending that every single driver on the road, especially the nincompoops, the ones who really get your blood boiling, is inadvertently reminding you of what's really important in life. Try pretending that these other drivers have showed up in your life not to ruin your day, but to improve it. It's certainly not a new concept, I know that, but it seems to be one we're rapidly forgetting. Of course, this approach requires a great deal of security and humility. Like, even if you know they're in the wrong and being a big meanie and that you're oh so beautifully in the right, remind yourself of that superpower you have, that space where you get to decide your response to something. When you feel like vilifying someone else's behavior, lovingly remind yourself that your responses to the world mold your perceptions of your reality, and that you're as happy as the thoughts you have, and that you're as happy as the thoughts you keep having day after day after day. Taking this approach, that every driver you encounter is a beautiful, enlightened soul, teaching you a valuable and loving life lesson, you stop plotting how to ruin the life of the driver who just can't be bothered to use their turning signal, like it's more of a suggestion than something that actually saves people's lives. Instead, they're serving as a gentle reminder to be a more mindful, better communicator and to revere the safety of others. Now that midlife crisis on wheels, with the loud muffler, is trying to teach you to be more considerate of people trying to sleep or study or have kinky but very complicated sex. Now those teenagers dancing in the car next to you at the red light, they're teaching you to stop taking life so seriously, to be in the moment a little more, to let go from time to time, to be grateful that you and your loved ones are safe and still breathing. Maybe that Waymo having a panic attack on a crowded one-way street is teaching you patience and perspective, or at the very least, self-reliance. Now that massive truck with the MAGA flag trying to bully you out of its way is suddenly a reminder to be a less controlling and more loving human being. When we stop getting offended by others, when we cease condemning their behavior and plotting their painful, horrible demise, we start appreciating the things that used to bother us. And then, instead of dreading life's little interruptions and complications, as well as its perceived annoyances and inconveniences, we start eagerly anticipating the sweet, beautiful, and loving gifts that these idiots are trying to give us. Thank you. And now for the man you've all come to see, my hero, Mr. David Sedaris.